Hello, everybody. So great to see you again. Welcome and thank you for joining. We're here with another session of Open Diner. Our topic today is what's wrong with codependency. This is a cameras on event, so if you could kindly turn on your cameras, that would be great. We find that it helps us to connect to each other. So, what's wrong?
Question. What if you don't have a camera?
Then you can't switch it on.
Yeah, I don't have a camera.
Okay, Johan, that's no problem. We'll work with that. It's great to have you here anyway. So, okay. So, what is wrong with codependency? Codependency is generally considered unhealthy. In this type of relationship, one of the partners is seeking love based on feelings of insecurity or inadequacy. A codependent person...
Susie, yo, are you on the beach?
I think there's more of a problem than the camera.
Yeah.
I think that's the problem. Okay.
Okay. A codependent person looks to their partner to repair their self-esteem, alleviate their pain, and complete their inner emptiness. Usually, this leads to various types of control and abuse. The codependent person keeps working to try and please their partner to ensure they get the kind of love they crave and to fill the role that they have assigned for them. This proves impossible because this actually isn't love at all. It becomes a self-perpetuating habit with obsessive thoughts and compulsive behaviors.
Very true. You know, the reality is that we are all interconnected and interdependent. That's how we're designed as human beings. And until we come to the realization of this fact and start learning to use our interconnectedness in a healthy way in order to benefit others instead of ourselves, these unhealthy manifestations will continue. We're actually not meant to be completely interdependent. Most, if not all of our problems, come from the fact that people believe that we are separate individuals among other separate individuals, and the earth we live on has fundamentally nothing to do with us.
Yes, we are biologically wired to connect. And the truth is that we do depend on our partners and other people. While we might think that we can just be happy on our own, the biological truth is that we depend on other people for almost all of our needs. Like all other parts of nature that work together independently, we need to learn to work together in a healthy way without manipulating and exploiting one another. If we think of an ant colony or a flock of birds, they work and live together harmoniously, helping each other and working as one unit. Grouping together offers safety and protection. They work together harmoniously as one body. Instead of competing, they help everyone succeed. People are parts of nature and should strive to resemble the rest of nature. Nature operates according to the laws of love and connection.
So true, Rob. You know, true love is based on giving. It is the expansion of self to include another. When we love another person, their happiness becomes my happiness. Their suffering is my suffering. And in that type of relationship, being dependent on our partners is no longer a bad thing because we are not focused on exploiting each other for our own benefit. So this is what we're going to be talking about tonight.
And again, this is a cameras on event. So if you could kindly turn on your cameras, that would be great. We find it helps us to reach our goal of connecting to each other. If you're joining us on Facebook or YouTube, welcome. And please tell us your name and where you're from. Participate. Answer questions in the comments and we'll try to read them. Stay on topic. And please remember to keep your answers short because we want to try to get to everyone. And remember to mute your microphone when you're not speaking. Okay, we're going to start with an icebreaker to help us get to know one another. And tonight's icebreaker is called Find a Common Denominator. Okay, so listen carefully. One person says a few sentences about something that happened to them, something they witnessed, something they read or heard. Then the other person finds a common denominator, anything that's a common denominator between that story and their own story. So then they continue the story and so on. Okay? Shall I say that again? One person says a few sentences about something that happened to them, something they witnessed, read, or heard. Then another person finds a common denominator between that story and their own story, and so on. Nina, would you like to start us off?
Sure. I was actually putting together a newsletter today for work, and I was reading about Zoom, the Zoom platform, and it's actually quite amazing how Zoom stepped up to the plate in the beginning of the pandemic, when everyone was socially isolated and forced to stay at home. And Zoom quickly became the #1 software where people can connect and on video and share presentations and so on, giving us really a chance to connect during the pandemic when everyone was so lonely and socially isolated. And I think I was very inspired by this story because these tools nowadays are like a lifesaver. We don't know what will happen next. There have been so many waves of this pandemic, and we depend on this technology in order to connect to others. So that was great.
Well, I see it a little bit different. I can relate what you're saying, but because of the pandemic, it has given me an excuse I can use to stay in. I don't have to go places because, hey, we're not supposed to be going out. So I like staying in anyway. But so that gave me an excuse to be able to fulfill what I wish to do.
It actually
Well,
gave
if
me
we're
an
talking,
opportunity it actually gave me an opportunity to streamline my business. Nina, it was funny that you brought up a newsletter. I actually just scrapped mine, and we replaced it with a monthly call for all of our clients. And I think actually inadvertently it did sort of connect the people that we're involved with. So it was kind of cool in that way.
we're still connecting on Zoom since, Gary Higgins that was here and had the heart attack, since he helped me on the music, I'm playing 17 Zooms a month now, and they just expanded it. So yeah, Zoom is it's great. Now there's supposed to be some underground things because Zoom, Facebook, and stuff could be taken off eventually, but yeah, I think it's really helping us right now.
Well, probably it will be taken off by us all becoming, acquiring telepathic qualities. We don't need this. We can I actually read about people who not even read, it was 4 years ago, no, not 4, 3. I read in one magazine that actually during the meetings, there is some kind of technology that people are using, and they're able to communicate, although they're sitting in different places, and during the meeting, they exchange thoughts. They don't need to use anything. They can communicate. So maybe that's where we're heading.
Well, I can add to that. Yes, everybody used Zoom. I use Zoom. This is where OpenDie actually started because of Zoom and the pandemic. But I know the stock actually went to 500 in the midst of the pandemic per share. And now today, I think it's about $80 because everybody's now wanting to get together and they want to be with people. And, we don't need that form. It's great still, but I see with friends and myself also getting together physically, it makes a big difference. And, it's funny, I did get a little bit of anxiety being around a lot of people that I haven't been. We were at a convention this past weekend, and it's a different feeling from going from a Zoom to now you're in front of people. They see from, from here down. And I saw there was a little bit of anxiety. So there's something I think that is changing now. We're back to a different connection, but it was a connection. And now it's like a different connection that you want to be with people. So I want to add to that. Things are changing, hopefully, and they're staying good, by the way.
I think it's also helping out in in business that people at work, if they don't have to fly somewhere to meet with other people in another office, they can just meet on Zoom. And that saves the company a lot of money. And also with education, I think it's great for kids with the online learning, though people say it takes away their social skills because they're not with people. But if you, as a parent, reach other parents and say, let's meet at the park at such and such a time with the kids, you can let them socialize in that way. It's up to us.
Yeah, thank you, Linda. I notice a few people have come in since we started this icebreaker, so I just want to explain it again quickly. One person says a few sentences about something that happened to them, something they witnessed, read, or heard. Then another person finds a common denominator between that story and their own story, and so on. The common denominator so far seems to be Zoom or this kind of platform. So I'll just add there that I've always been a part of sort of focus groups and spiritual searches, groups, religions, churches, that sort of thing. And I've always mixed very well and put my all into it. But recently, because I've got a medical condition, I've been pretty restricted in going out. And this platform, this kind of thing, has opened up a whole new world to me, because I can go to meetings, I can go to conventions, I can go amongst thousands of people, and my restriction doesn't play any part in it. So that's my contribution. And I see Nancy is smiling, and I'd love to hear from Nancy. Nice to see you again, lovely.
Yeah, I'm sorry I missed a couple weeks. It was silly, but anyway, I agree with you in that, and I also love the platform because I probably wouldn't go if I had to go in person. I know I might not seem like it, but I'm kind of shy, or maybe the word's intimidated or something, by being in large groups of people in person. I don't have that much confidence for that. So a lot of the times I look on Meetup and I look at groups, and a lot of them say, well, now we're in person and now I won't go to those. So I really appreciate this, because I probably wouldn't be here and know all of you if it wasn't for Zoom. So thank you. Thank you. I'm supposed to mute.
It's interesting. The topic is about codependency. I think we've all become codependent on Zoom since the pandemic. But I was kind of thinking the common denominator would quickly become about telepathy. After Elisa's comment, I was going to suggest that our next icebreaker should be where we try to guess each other's thoughts.
Could be dangerous. Just kidding. We all nice people here. Have all only pleasant thoughts.
Come on, Dan, you must have something for us.
I don't know what to hook onto there. Yeah, I mean, Zoom's been great. To me, I used to, I remember when I was young, I used to ask my dad, I said, where are all these people going on the road, right? He said, I don't know. And like COVID, they're not going anywhere. Like the world, the world kept running and there was no cars on the road. And so I think a lot of us learned that we just drive around a lot doing nothing. And I know a lot of people are doing hybrid work from home now and really like it. So I think that's I think that's a massive change. And it seems to me like all of our progress in technology is just it's just more connection. So, this allows Rob to meet with thousands of people or whatever. I mean, that's what technology's primary function is, just to connect people for some reason. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, but I heard that it's really hurt businesses. I'm seeing all type of businesses closing up. You have people that jacking up their prices because they weren't able to sell their products. And now that people are coming out again, now they trying to make up for the money they have lost. So you got both sides of the coin there. I guess it all depends on how we see things. Glass half empty, half full.
I think if I can just jump in really fast, I think it's a mixed or double-edged sword, as they would say, because if it's a hands-on type of thing, like going to a restaurant or I can't think, but beauty shop sort of things, maybe it's a service thing. That, yeah, I can imagine that the pandemic really, well, we know it really hurt a lot of businesses in that respect, right? But then others that don't rely so much on that kind of contact, I think have grown because they can reach more people online than they could, because like I know a lot of us are not in the same state or even in the same country here. So if we were meeting in person, that would never happen. While it does. So you know what? And maybe change is always a double-edged sword, because there's always going to be a good side to it and a bad side to it, no matter what it is.
I could add to that, I'm in the automotive business. So you would say people stopped driving to work, right? People didn't rent cars, people didn't take planes. But then you could look at the other thing. It's like nature balances itself out with us because, okay, so people didn't drive to work, but then you had people buying stuff online, let's say with Instacart, and then you had delivery people bringing stuff to them. So it changed the dynamic of business and how we live life, but it gave new opportunities for jobs and change jobs. So it really like balanced itself out. If someone had a brick and mortar business, yeah, that's difficult, but they still managed. I know someone that owns a restaurant in Manhattan, and she was telling me, they couldn't serve people. So they managed to go outside so people could still be together. And then they started delivering. And, so that's how human beings are. We try to find the balance where we were. But through all this, I think what everybody's saying, we reach more connection, meeting people that we never would have met in a million years if this didn't happen, let's say the pandemic. So you never know how things change, but I see it does balance out in some way. Nature does it. That things work out, but
I'd like to, I love what Roberta said. I'm kind of like, I'm tired, but I'm a people person. So I'm planning 2 events that I've been meeting with people on Zoom for a couple of years, and I'm out of my mind with excitement, because, now, but I got to tell you this, I'm working on a song. I won't sing the whole thing, but open diner, I'm always thinking of you. Oh, I got to go start open higher. Open diner, I'll tell the world I love you. We open our hearts up deep down to our core. We connect on Facebook, Zoom, and everything for open diner. You are my inspiration. My days are seldom blue. After all is said and done, there is really only one open diner. It's you.
Wow. That could be
Wow.
our new jingle. I love it.
Awesome, Susie. All you need now is a cheerleader group to
Put that because of I sang it because that Facebook, Zoom, and everything for. So yeah, love it. Thank you guys.
So now, does the next person have to sing? Is that the common denominator here?
Well, if they've got to sing, they better make it a 1 minute.
Record that for us. We can post it on Facebook on our Open Diner. I would love that.
Yeah.
Serious.
Yeah. Get recording, girl. Oh,
Facebook
yes.
says, great song.
Okay, is anyone that haven't gone? We've got just about 1 minute to, or just less than 1 minute.
One thing I could add is simply that, for all we say about the fact that technology has been here and allowing us to do things, especially when the pandemic put restrictions on us, it also requires us to go along with, the intention to, do something good for each other, because otherwise you're not people taking advantage of the situation for their own benefit, and it's always going to put a bad name on technology. Like Nancy one day was saying, is that technology is a double-edged sword. It depends on the intention with which you use it. Yep.
Yeah, thank you, Rona. Okay, we're now going to watch a video. Now, this video is by Tal. She is our relationship expert. We've seen a few of her videos previously, and we hope to have her on this show someday soon. Keep your fingers crossed.
We are biologically wired to connect. Now, in our culture, it's widely considered a bad thing to be codependent, right, with your partner. And, well, maybe it's true that there are a lot of toxic situations that are bad for us, but the truth is that we do depend on our partners and other people. And though we might want to think that we can just be happy on our own and get by and be independent, the truth is, the biological truth is, we depend on other people for all of our needs, including our happiness and our higher evolution, our spiritual evolution. It all happens within the context of our relationships. So the only missing piece here from our mindsets is the skills that we need to learn to create healthy interdependence. Because we're not taught how to do that, we learn that we need to somehow shield ourselves or get away from relationships or keep an internal boundary with our partner to protect ourselves. But if we did learn the skills of conscious connection and how to create healthy interdependence, we wouldn't need to protect ourselves from our partners at all. So I just invite you to think about that to help change the mindset around relationships from codependence being a bad thing or dependency being a bad thing into understanding how interdependent we are and learning how to create healthy, happy interdependence and conscious connection.
Okay. Was the music loud or was it me?
No,
Right?
the music was too loud.
It was too loud. I couldn't hear her.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to go through the workshop questions that we have, and we're going to come to an answer together. But first, if you don't have your cameras on now, I know Cody, I know this is the fellow that
Roberta, how about you? We want to see you.
Look at that. You see what happens? All right. I'm making sure you're looking at me. Everybody's looking at me. I know Lisa is. Okay. All right. I'm sorry about that. So we're going to move on to a roundtable discussion. But first, we're going to look at our etiquette rules, which we like to read every time before we start our discussion. These are very helpful. Roundtable etiquette. We're here to build a space of support, love, care, and warmth. Everybody is equal and very important. And we go around the table and speak briefly and on topic. That's so everybody gets a chance to speak. We listen attentively. And Willie, you said it so great last week. And I said, I hope I could explain, he was the host last week, how he explained it, that when you listen to somebody that speaks before you, most of the time we're saying, what am I going to say? Is it going to be right or wrong? But when you listen to somebody, you learn so much, and that could add to what you're going to add to the conversation. So there are no right or wrong answers. The truth is going to be found in the center of our connection. So no waiting any further. Let's go over the questions, and we're going to place these in the chat. And instead of putting in order, which we sometimes do, we'll just do it popcorn style. Popcorn is like when popcorn pops, when it's ready, just unmute yourself. You could speak, and then speak briefly so everybody gets a chance. And we'll go around with this question. So the first question we're going to discuss together, especially in North America culture, there is great tension between our natural yearning for a community and our desire to be interdependent. Therefore, we are hesitant to ask for help or to depend on each other very much. How do we resolve this inner conflict? I'm going to read this again. Especially,
Roberta, it's independent, not interdependent.
Okay, that's why I had to read it again. Thank you, Nina. Especially in the North American culture, right? Okay, we got that. There is great tension between our natural yearning for community and our desire to be independent. There we go. Therefore, we are hesitant to ask for help or to depend on each other very much, right? We don't do that too often. So how do we resolve this inner conflict? Okay, so everybody's got the question. We're going to put it in the chat. And we're just going to start. Anybody who would like to start, unmute yourself. How do we resolve this inner conflict?
I have an idea. Oh, I'm sorry, Will, you can go. Okay. When I was in college, like too many years ago to even think about, and there was one course, a health class, but we had a lecturer come, and they were the writers of a book called Open Marriage, and this was from the 70s. Now, of course, everyone thinks open marriage means you can like have sex anywhere even though you're married, but that was a very small portion. Mostly what it meant, and it was this, and I think this might apply to any relationship. Relationships and marriage are very often in this country, we shape them like the letter A, okay? And the letter A means that you're joined at the hip, kind of, and you lean on each other. So if one side collapses, both sides collapse. And their idea of the open marriage or open relationship is an H, so that you're both still joined together. You still kind of have a dependency, but you also stand on your own. And I'm wondering if that's not a good definition of interdependence, where you kind of are dependent, but you aren't, you're individual. I don't know if that really addresses the question, but I just thought I'd throw that in there.
Okay, that's interesting. What happens if you're single? Then there's just zero. There's nothing to, I'm only kidding. Yeah, no, but
I agree.
No, I understand what you're saying for sure.
It's a letter O then, not H.
That's what I went like. No, but so how do we, where's the question? Everybody knows the question. So let's how do we resolve this inner conflict?
I think we can resolve it by realizing that you're not weak because you need help. We all need help in some area, sometime in our lives, over some situation, because we don't know everything and we can't do everything. We really do need one another. So you're not weak because you need help. It's smart when you know you need help and able to ask for it.
Yeah.
There's a commercial on TV. I don't know where it's playing or if everybody has seen it, about these two guys in a gym, and the one guy is holding up weights. He's laying down, but he can't lift them. So another guy comes over and says, "Hey, let me help you." He says, "No." He says, "There's no you're not less of a person if you ask for help." And he says, "Oh God, you don't know my family." And that's true. A lot of times if the family, pushes you to be independent, and you got to ask for help sometimes, and you have to offer your help too. And because I am asking for your help today. You see, I'm wearing black. This is the most I've laughed for a couple of days. I had to put my baby kitty down this morning. And she's 18. She was 4.5 pounds, and I've been crying but I need you guys because I'm scared and I hurt and I just want to heal. Roberta's been helping me, but it was time. Oh, I did ask. She was 4.5 pounds. She used to be 18 pounds. She's been sick for a while, but what was I going to say? Oh, I can't remember. I'll say it anyway. I need you guys. I am open and vulnerable. I bring a lot of joy to you, and right now I'm crying. This is the hardest thing I've done in a long time.
Susie, you have our hearts and our prayers. You are very, very special to us, and I know I speak for everyone. We feel your pain. So you have our prayers, you have our hearts, you have our support all the time.
Absolutely. I just went through it about a month ago, Susie. So I still can't really talk about it, but it's one of the saddest thing to experience. It's like losing a family member, and we're holding you and holding you up through this difficult time. But also to, what I wanted to say about codependency, the problem with codependency is not the fact that, not the dependency part, it's the how it's being used. It's a very selfish way of using it. There's nothing wrong with being connected and even depending on your partner. There's so many families where one partner, for example, is the breadwinner of the family, just a random example, and the other, is a mother, a full-time mother. Like, what's wrong with that situation? Who am I to judge, right? One person is providing the money, another person is providing the education for the children. They're both contributing for a common benefit, right? But if you're codependent in the sense that you're just sucking everything you can from the other person in order to fill some emptiness inside of you, some void inside of you, or a lack that you don't want to work on improving in yourself. And so you're using the other person to do that for you, and you're putting them in a very difficult situation. And many times that leads to abuse and all kinds of things. So that's what's wrong with dependency. But if we start codependency, but if we start using the fact that we are all interconnected positively to add our skills, talents, to contribute in various ways. And so what if someone depends on me, or I depend on someone else who has the skills that I don't have, for example, some of the greatest school programs are actually built that way, where a child doesn't have to be good in everything, because they learn to work together with others. Another person could be good, another child might be good in math while I'm good in English, and so on. So I think that's the problem, that we try to use it with a very selfish intention instead of trying to give.
Yeah, I think that independence is what's the word? I can't think of the word now.
Overrated?
Overrated. Thank you, Roberta. I think it's overrated because if you think about it, we all want to be independent because everybody else is independent. That's not independence. We're following the crowd to be independent. But when we join groups such as Open Diner and other groups, and we get used to the people, and we open our hearts as Susie just does for us, well, there's independence because we're being ourselves. So yeah, that's my take on it.
Thank you, Rob. Anybody else want to add to this? We have time for a couple more.
Sure, all in. I think independence to some degree is a complete lie. It doesn't make any sense. Everything that I have around me is from someone else. If you gave me $1 billion right now and you wiped everyone else off the planet, what would I have? Nothing. This pen is the simplest thing on my desk. And you know how many people it took to make this pen? I would gander it crosses country borders to make this pen. It's just a pen, but it's not, right? I contribute a very, very, very small amount to the world, whatever I can, right? Whatever each person can, but it doesn't come in any comparison to what everybody else contributed to me, right?
I just want to say that, Susie, it was the bravest act, I've seen in a long time, to openly cry in front of people, although, well, you sort of know us, but still amazing, what considered as brave in our society is, to be tough. But anyway, what I wanted to say, I just wanted to continue what Dan was saying, is that it's so, for some reason, I don't know, I don't want to take us into 19th century, but Giordano Bruno was died. He was executed by being burned on fire, because he envisioned that universe is infinite, that the earth is not flat, that it is round. How in the world he possibly could say that? And now 2.5 centuries later, we see James Webb showing us this endless space. What I want to say is that a lot of philosophers and people are saying, different people from different wisdoms are saying that we are interconnected. We are interconnected to the extent that we can't even perceive this connection. But where is it? You can touch it, you don't know, somebody, thank God nobody's burned, now and executed for those thoughts, but science is way behind of that. It's way behind. And if we can be open with each other, maybe, and truly like start to even, pandemic showed us how we dependent on each other, how, we are connected. All technologies show us. So that is something we need to discover and not to be afraid of it and just go other way around.
Thank you. But everybody said it's so true. And like Susie stepped up and, in the question itself, how do you, ask for help? We don't do that often. We depend on each other. And it's just, I think, going above fear. Just go above fear. Who says we have to be a certain way? But we have a second question. Okay, so the second question is going to be, and we'll put it in the chat. What is the difference between an unhealthy dependency and a healthy interdependence? What is the difference between a healthy dependency and an unhealthy dependency and a healthy interdependence? Why'd you have to use the words like this? Why? Couldn't you say, I rely on somebody, I don't rely on somebody? Interdependence, okay, it's in the question, in the chat. What is the difference between an unhealthy dependency and a healthy interdependence? We got it? Okay. So maybe some friends who didn't speak would like to open this up. Maybe Christian, Rano, Cody, if you could speak. What do you guys think?
I would say, this talk of independence that we've heard this past few centuries is simply people trying to express themselves, thinking that if they are recognized as a part of a collective, it makes them disappear. It's like they being afraid of, just being forgotten or not being recognized or not being noticed. But it's kind of weird to think that way. Look at your body. Your body is not a pile of cells. Your body is a collection of organs. Each one is different than the other. You're being identified as, as you person. You call you Nina or Berta or Christian. But, you're made of a bunch of cells that are forming organs. And these organs are completely, each one is unique and indispensable. You remove your heart and then there's no you anymore. But, this, it's independent because it's recognized for its function. And it's interdependent because it's connected to the others and it cannot live by itself. It's the same way for us. Look at Susie. Susie, every week on Open Diner, brings joy here. She sings. She sang for us a couple of times. And every time she speaks, she brings hope to people. Today she needs us and she can rely on our shoulders. It's the same thing, in your body, say each organ is completely dependent on the others. And because of that, it is powerful. Your heart can do whatever it does because it receives nutrient from the rest. It's the same for here on Open Diner. When I'm here with you, I can focus on the tech duties and, listen to you speak and understand that this is an amazing place to be. You know, this body here. So, you know, that's my thought on that.
Yeah, that's awesome, Rono. I think we could put it in a nutshell that unhealthy dependency is destructive, it's selfish, and it needs to go. Whereas healthy interdependence is the opposite, it's cooperation and it's building, so it's creative. So, but the way you put it, Rono, you're more scientific than me. Absolutely awesome.
I went to Codependency Anonymous, and it was interesting what I found. And I had been in a very deep spiritual group for a long time. And so when the group kind of had some difficulty, that's when, you know, and what my experience was I was taking care of like thousands of people, but I wasn't taking care of me. And so the healthy, that was in my youth. So I had to learn how to take care of me. And then you have an interdependence. And, you know, codependence is fine if you're taking care of you, and that's what makes it healthy. If you're rejecting loving yourself, taking care of everybody else, I ended up at the short end of the stick.
I'm going to follow you, Susie. First of all, I have to tell you those earrings are just marvelous. I love those. They're great. But I have to follow you because I spent time like that too in a group that was very, now when I look back, I think it was codependent. But anyway, I grew up being told that I was too dependent on everybody else, and especially when I became a teenager. And then after that, I tried to be independent, but I found myself, I think this is still codependency in a kind of weird way, but I found myself like feeling like I had to help everybody and be responsible for what they needed. And if they didn't agree with me, then they were totally wrong and ruining their life. And I was right. And I don't know how that came to mean that, but somewhere along the line, I just felt so responsible. Somebody said something about, well, I don't know what to do about this. I'd have to run and research it and give them the answers. And if I didn't, I felt like I'd let the world down or something. I think that might be a form of codependence as well, because my own value came from if I could help them. I think, is that part of it? Well, it took me like 3 years in therapy to realize, you know, it's nice to help people, but you're not responsible for them. They have to make their own decisions. And I think that's where the independence comes in, is you help, yes, and you care, yes, but you can't turn them into some sort of slave of yourself to do everything you say. You can only offer the information and let each person make its own, his or her own decision about something. And maybe that's how it becomes interdependent rather than dependent or independent.
Yeah, there are some people who are totally dependent on other people. Not that they can't do anything on their own, but they won't do anything on their own. And they're always asking somebody else to do things for them. And that's not healthy. You've got to learn, like you said, to do for yourself, to be independent. Yet, if you really need something, you know who to go to for help. And that's the difference there.
Yeah, you have
Go ahead,
you have,
please.
you have to be independent enough to help with the interdependence. You have to be independent enough to help the group so that you can help support the group, because they're going to help support you. It's like a mutual guarantee, right? Roberta, sorry.
No. We have one more question. I thought maybe whoever didn't speak, maybe Christian, did you want to add? Or maybe you want to do the next question? No pressure. I know you tried to unmute before and then someone spoke, so please.
Yeah, no worries. Well, I mean, I'm sort of just starting my own personal growth journey, so I can't really answer what healthy interdependence looks like just yet. But I can certainly answer what my unhealthy dependency has looked like to this point. And certainly I've always struggled in finding my own self-esteem and my own kind of self-motivation, and I've always relied on encouragement and compliments external of myself. And so that's going to be something that I really work on moving forward.
Thank you for sharing that with us. Okay, so we have one more question, and the question will be in the chat. How can we create healthy interdependence in our relationships? How can we create healthy interdependence in our relationships? Who'd like to start?
I would start. I think we need to look at who are we doing it for, and what we're trying to gain from it. Something that we can measure why we are doing what we are doing. We need to look at something that we can measure things by, or else we can do things without really thinking about it, without putting much thought to it, and we get things, as they say, get lost in the translation.
Yeah, I think we need to measure it, Willie, because we need to be outward looking and seeing what the other person or the other people around us need and how we can help them, instead of focusing on ourselves all the time and what can I get out of this. I think that's the big problem that divides both interdependence and dependence, the healthy and the unhealthy. So great point, Willie.
I think science has proven that we pretty much depend on, and that's, I don't know if you heard because of the loud music in the background, but that's something that Tal said in her video, that we depend on others for almost all of our needs, if you think about it. So like Dan was saying, independence, it's just something to make us feel better. It doesn't really exist in that sense, because we do depend on the planet, the environment, each other. COVID, I think, showed us that very clearly, how dependent we are on others in order not to get sick and for all of our needs. If farmers stop producing, I'm going to have nothing to eat. How can I say that I'm independent? So in relationships, I think the important thing is to realize that we also depend on others for happiness, actually, because it's very hard to remain happy, like on an island by yourself. Very, very hard to stay happy for a long period of time. We do depend on others for happiness as well. And in the relationship, if I make the other person happy, then I will be happy. It's just that simple. If we focus on making the other happy and our partner focuses on making us happy, we don't have anything to worry about. I think the problem with what Susie was saying, that she was giving and giving and giving and not taking care of herself. Well, if everyone else was taking care of you and giving to you, you wouldn't necessarily need to take care of yourself so much. I'm not saying not to take care of yourself at all, but the problem is when one person is giving and giving and the other is just receiving and receiving, that's the problem. But in a mutually giving relationship, you don't have that problem.
Yeah, and I think, again, I know I'm coming in for the second time, but I think that we need to choose our environment. I think with Susie, she's been giving, but in the wrong environment, because she's been giving to take us. And we need to find like-minded people with the same heart, the same goal of giving. If we all give, then we don't need to take, because we're all covering each other's backs anyway. So, yeah, I think environment is a very important thing to consider here.
It's beautiful, Ron. I think, when you look at interdependent systems, they're very powerful systems. We're not looking at a weakness thing here. Your body is completely interdependent. Your world that, we do a lot to the earth, right? We're pretty busy. And it holds up pretty good. It's an interdependent system. Interdependent systems are strong. They're not weak. right? So I'll put, if it's country on country, I'll go with the one who's united, who's more interdependent with one another, who's more specialized. That each person has a specialized role, they can get good at it or whatever. Just like your body, right? They're going to win, especially the more connected ones.
I could add, with like everybody's saying here, if you worry about the other person, not so much about yourself, it changes the whole dynamic because you're helping the other, like Friend said, and then you don't have to worry about yourself so much. It becomes its own system. One works off the other. It's not I need you, it's we work together. It's like momentum of like a gear, 2 gears moving. So we all help each other. We have a few minutes if somebody would like to add, a couple people. Anything from Facebook? Nancy, Christian, Linda, who didn't speak much? Elisa?
Facebook is very shy tonight, but I don't know. Kazia says this is a very interesting topic. Thumbs up. She's right.
That it is.
In a relationship, I think what's most important for both partners to remember is that they have the same goal. Especially when they have kids, it's all about, building an environment in which the kids can grow healthy, happy, and successful. And even when they don't have kids, this is the same. They take care of the same household. They're going in the same direction together. And it's only, fair. It's only healthy to remember that, they add to one another. They are complementary. And so whatever skill I need is in my partner and vice versa.
Also, I think if we look at, what we want to take away from this is I look at myself and I say, yes, I need, and I don't mind asking for and letting my needs be made known. But what am I giving? If you find out you're just always on the receiving end and you're not willing to give or not giving to anything else, then something's out of balance. Then you realize you get into a problem because it should be giving and receiving each other, never one-sided.
I'd like to receive the compliment that Nancy gave me. And I was in a webinar this last week of a bunch of artists, and somebody said, Susie, why are you making earrings and hats? And I said, because I'm playing music and you can only see it here and you can't see my dress and my boots. Anyway, thank you, Nancy. I received your compliment.
And you're welcome. And let me also say, I'm so sorry about your kitty. I totally understand. I've lost 2 cats and 3 dogs in the last 10 years, and it's terrible. But remember, you gave him a good life, and that's what counts.
True. Well, friends, I think this was a deep discussion, and we're going to lighten it up a little bit right now. I appreciate everybody participating and adding. And we're going to do something we do every week. If you're not familiar with it, we're going to do our open diner chair dance together now. It's a lot of fun. Those who have been here before, you know how we do it. We play some music, and when you are spotlighted, the big on the screen, do a little dance with your hands, and everybody's going to follow you. When someone else is spotlighted, everyone follows them. It's kind of like follow the leader. When you're spotlighted, you might see a message that comes up on the screen. It's just simply telling you you're being spotlighted. Ignore it. Don't bother reading it. Otherwise, you're going to miss your turn. Everybody got this so far? So that's the cue. Yes?
I have a problem. When on these dances, people are throwing their hat. I think it's unfair.
The thrower hat?
Throwing their hat.
Oh.
I think it's unfair.
All right, I got it, Willie.
I don't get it.
It's still.
I can't say interdependent, and I didn't get the hat joke. What is she doing? Willie, tell us again.
Her dance mode.
Oh, you don't have hair. I say it. That's why she's going to give you a hat. She makes hats, right?
Right.
All right, so let's listen to some music and have some fun here, okay? Let's smile. Susie's already smiling.
Learning to unite. Let your heart speak. Let your heart listen. Shoulder to shoulder, you won't be alone. Love is around the deepest ocean. Together we're drawn in. I won't let go. It feels so good to be a part of you. This is what their life should be. Learning to unite, living in the light. We'll win this fight, and everything's gonna be alright. Learning to unite. Learning to unite, living in the light. We'll win this fight, and everything's gonna be alright. Learning to unite. Dearest friends, thank you for being. Thank you for hearing what my heart says. Now is the time for the walls to be broken, for the doors to be open. It's time to pray. It feels so good to be a part of you. This is what their life should be. Learning to unite, living in the light. We'll win this fight, and everything's gonna be alright. Learning to unite. Learning to unite, living in the light. We'll win this fight, and everything's gonna be alright. Learning to unite. Learning to unite, living in the light. We'll win this fight, and everything's gonna be alright. Learning to unite. Learning to unite, living in the light. We'll win this fight, and everything's gonna be alright. Learning to unite. There's only now, only this moment, when we are together, together as one.
Great job, everybody. Thank you for participating. Everybody did a great job. Everybody feel more light now, a little better?
I think we should do one meeting where Rob dances the whole thing. He's not dancing. We've never seen him chair dance. Come on, Rob.
That's,
And then
that,
no
Susie,
music.
is because I'm in the background doing all the switching of the cameras, and I can't do
No,
both.
but no, but I think that's why we dedicate a whole thing to watch you dance. We got to see you in the hot spot.
Absolutely.
Go for it, Rob.
Absolutely.
We have 2 minutes.
Do a dance, Rob. Do something
What an
with your hand.
Yeah, what an excuse, Rob.
Isn't it? And I'm sticking with it. Okay, guys, it's been absolutely awesome tonight. We've had some deep talk, we've had some emotional talk, but above all, we've had deep connection talk, and that is absolutely fantastic. We've reached the goal of Open Diner, and that is to connect our hearts as one and just interact with each other. So we have tonight, without a shadow of a doubt, the healthy interdependence, Roberta. So thank you all very much for joining. It's been absolutely wonderful. Thank you for taking part. Please continue to join us every Thursday, 6:30 Eastern, 5:30 Central, and bring your friends. Roberta.
Yes, and you can see us on Facebook, Meetup, YouTube, and we have a great podcast. I don't know if anybody's familiar with that, but definitely check that out. And let's see. We're going to, well, I did it all. I think that's all we had. Why am I think I'm whacked out tonight, friends. Something happened. I don't know what it is.
Something happened. I handed over to you and I was supposed to be
I'm
doing it.
saying I messed up again. Probably that's the normal thing tonight. But yes, watch us Facebook, Meetup, YouTube. Come next week, bring your friends, and we'll have a good time again. Another.
You can see all the past events on Facebook and YouTube. Make sure you hit the bell icon in Facebook to receive notifications about our future events. And you can RSVP for our future events on Facebook and Meetup. And we will see you all next Thursday at 6:30. Be there or be square.
But be there and be in the square. What?
Susie,
Thank
we're
you all.
In the square.
Thank you guys so much for being there for me tonight. Thank you.
Take care, everybody, especially Susie.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
thank you, everybody, and Susie, you too. Of course.
Thank you.
Thank you, friends.
you.
Thank you.
Have a great week, everybody.
Great
Okay.
week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I showed you off on TV on this.